Hi all, and welcome to the Electric Singularity. My name is Sam Evans. Today we're looking at an article on The Driven called Australia to Miss Out on Semi-Electric Truck Unless Road Rules Are Changed. The article was written by James Fernihue and starts with this. Tesla has warned its soon-to-be-released Tesla semi-electric trucks will be too wide for Australian roads unless current rules are changed. Under existing regulations, trucks are only allowed to use Australian roads if they are 2.5 metres wide or less. Tesla says its semi-trucks are between 30 and 50 millimetres wider than that, although they conform to rules in the United States, to rules in the United States, where the limit is 2.6 metres, and in the European Union, where it is 2.55 metres. In a submission to the National Transport Commission's Heavy Vehicle National Law Review, Tesla urged the government to change the rule, saying the Australian market's small size would likely mean Tesla and probably other manufacturers would not make the adjustments necessary to sell its trucks here. Of course, it would be ridiculous for them to change the width of their vehicles simply for a very small market like Australia. The Commission will be aware that given Australia's small size in comparison to global markets, inconsistencies like this between Australian regulations and larger markets will delay or preclude vehicles coming to local markets. I would say more likely preclude. Currently, Australia will likely miss out on the first generation of electric heavy vehicles such as the Tesla Semi because of this. The mismatch between Australian and overseas rules has long been a bugbear of many in the industry. In September 2019, Austroads, the peak body representing Australia's various state and federal level transport agencies, completed a study in which it recommended increasing the limit by 50 millimetres to 2.55 metres, as is the norm in Europe. The study, which surveyed a wide range of stakeholders, found the majority support for the change. The biggest objections came from local truck manufacturers who were afraid the rule would hurt their business, of course. There was also concerns about the safety implications. Now, just so you're aware, local truck manufacturers in Australia, probably the biggest one is Kenworth, and they don't really have any solid plans that I'm aware of for electrification of trucks. Certainly not semis the size of the Tesla Semi. Austroads said these concerns would be mitigated by mandating driver training and specific safety technologies such as blind spot monitoring systems and side underrun protection, and by supporting domestic manufacturing, transitional agreements and subsidies to adapt processes. But despite this strong backing for the change, nothing has happened since that report was released 18 months ago. The Australian Trucking Association backs a change to the rules, saying keeping the current regime in place would only hold up the arrival of zero-emission trucks. Unfortunately, Australia is extremely backwards when it comes to anything electric. And unfortunately, our politicians have shown no real interest to support electrification of our vehicles and even electrification of our grid. An ATA spokesperson said, truck models developed overseas, including both electric and hydrogen models, will need to be redesigned for the Australian market to meet our dimension rules. This will slow the introduction of zero-emission road transport technologies. Ridiculous. To better enable zero-emission trucks and newer, less emission-intensive trucks onto Australian roads, the Australian Trucking Association is calling for heavy vehicle dimensions rules and believe Australian truck width should be amended to 2.6 metres. This would enable the introduction of the latest zero-emission trucks on an earlier timeline, or obviously a much, much earlier timeline. The National Transport Commission is looking at this issue in its Heavy Vehicle National Law Review, to which Tesla made its submission. In a paper published last year, the NTC acknowledged Australian rules had not kept pace with current international standards. The NTC will present in its finalised policy options to the federal government in May. Tesla says it will deliver its first batch of mass semi-trucks this year, nearly 4 years after it unveiled the first prototype in November 2017. The all-electric trucks have a range of between 300 and 500 miles, or 483 to 804 kilometres, and energy consumption of less than 2 kilowatt hours per mile. The cheapest version costs US $150,000, and the more expensive version costs US $180,000, or 233,000 Australian dollars. Let's scroll down to the comments. The most popular comment comes from Ray Miller. I've got zero confidence that Australia will change to meet the international standards. Seems we are perpetually stuck in some time warp with the conservative political sphere sole self-appointed mission is to maintain that state. And Pete responds to him saying, same with the ADRs, Australian design rules. The Kiwis, for example, admitted that they were not that special and just adopted overseas regulations, opened their market, and reduced the fleet age by several years with commensurate safety and efficiency improvements. We should at least harmonise with, say, the EU or the US, but not maintain that we are, in fact, different. Why do we not allow quad recycles like Renault Twizy because we're different? It was the same with Isofix kid seats. Of course, Aussie kids are different to all the other little humans in the world. Sarcasm. Yep, I know, Pete. I agree. And next comment comes from Leopold, who says, only when it suits those who fund the federal government, and to hell with the public's health. Unfortunately, it appears that may be true. Ryan says, at some stage, our backward federal government is going to realise that we don't have any say in what the rest of the world manufactures. They seem to think Cuba has a niche worth emulating here. That could be exaggeration, but to some degree, Ryan, I agree with you. And really, this needs to change immediately. The Australian government needs to stop doing whatever the hell they're doing, nothing, sticking their heads in the sand, get their heads out of the sand, stop trying to tax electric cars, stop trying to be different to the rest of the world, join up with what is happening now, which is transforming our electric car and truck industry and moving to renewable energy as well. Now, what we need right now is support from our government on this. It doesn't matter if it's Liberal or Labor, it doesn't matter who it is, but they need to see that we need to adopt these changes in rules straight away, immediately, not tomorrow, not in a week, not in 5 years when we haven't been able to buy Tesla semis for 5 years. We need to adopt them immediately. Now, hopefully this happens. Guys, please, if you're an Australian, write to your MP. Tell them exactly what needs to happen here. Tell them that if they make these changes, if they support these changes, then you will support them. This is the best thing we can do right now. Guys, I hope you've enjoyed this article, and I'll see you on the next one. Have a great day. Bye.